I am Coach Sess, and you are listening to Words with the Mad Coach. What have you got going on that I should know about this week? Please hit me up, inbox me, email me, text me, or just post it on my timeline, or tweet me, or gram me, or something. All right, let me know what is happening in the world of mixed martial arts or just martial arts in general. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. I want to point out some happenings on the local level here in North Carolina. Some things that I might not have been paying attention to before, and I think it's important to kind of bring it up. So one, I want to start with the recent jiu-jitsu tournament or grappling tournament that we just had here this past weekend. Some of my teammates from Team Rock Fayetteville participated, and I don't know why this has never made my radar before. I should have been thinking about it all along. And the reason being is because being the MMA guy, I'm always thinking about MMA events and how important they are to the area. I never really considered the jiu-jitsu tournaments because we don't have a lot of events here in North Carolina right now. At one point, we had 10 to 12 associations, 10 to 12 promotions in the state. But right now, we've got maybe a major two that we're looking at. What I think the grappling tournaments kind of fill that void because we don't have Muay Thai here. A lot of times it's on a mixed martial arts show when we have some type of Muay Thai kickboxing. There's no separate entity right now. And so I think that the grappling tournament fills that void and allows the competitors to get experience without having to travel too far, without having to put a whole lot of money into it. I do want to point out that Team Rock Fayetteville had a couple of competitors. Marcus Daniels took second. Anthony Wright took third. Then we saw Trey Pace, as I mentioned before. He won, I think, every division he was in. Ramon just has to forgive me. I don't remember his last name. And then our MMA champion in the gym, Damon, the Diamond Blackshear, won all of his divisions. In some remote tournaments, I saw young man that just recently left. He's in the military. He just left us. Had to go back to his original unit. He trained with us almost for 9 months. Martin Briggs, I saw where he picked up first place in the gi and the no gi division in another remote tournament that he participated in. And a former teammate who's also moved on, Josh Denman, competed in a new breed and won first place in the gi and the no gi in his division. So that's good to see some of our fraternity doing well elsewhere, as well as the guys who are local. I appreciate U.S. Grappling coming through, and I actually kind of look forward to seeing other tournaments come through just to keep the guys active, give them something to do. Speaking of local and speaking of MMA, there was an MMA event that took place last weekend that kind of went under the radar that nobody really knew about, and I think it was called Fight For It, and Team Rock Charlotte participated in it. That's how I heard about it. It was on the one of the guys' timelines on Facebook, and the fighters, the gym went 4-1 in the event. I'm not quite sure who the promoters are, but that's a good sign. That's a good thing. The economy's picking up, and we're going to see more MMA events. And you want to have more. There's not a problem with more. In 2016, I think it was, events had dropped off to the point that guys in the gym, I think we only had a total of 7 fights that year. So it's cool to say, oh, we went undefeated that year. But when you say we went undefeated because there were 7 promotions altogether, like from Virginia to South Carolina to North Carolina, I mean, we were struggling that year, to find anything. And, and like I said, when times are tough, you can't afford to just jump in the paddy wagon and go traveling to these remote states, that are too far out. So you want to try to have local events, 2 to 3 states over, and that's about it. That's the best you can do. So it's good to see that these local events in state are coming back. I welcome the jiu-jitsu tournaments, and I think it's a good thing that guys get experience. I even welcome the promoters who allow the guys to put on a headgear, put on shin guards, and let them kickbox on their venues. That will satisfy some of the what's needed out there until we get more sanctioned events, kickboxing and Muay Thai standalone events, and not just professional events, and not just 1 or 2. We're talking about, if we can get, in my estimation, if we can get it back to where we have 12 to 14 promotions, 3 or 4 MMA, 3 or 4 grappling, 3 or 4 Muay Thai, 3 or 4 kickboxing. I don't look at them as the same, and it's cool if they overlap, but we just need more events. We need more promotions. The competition, to me, brings out better competition, attracts better competition, and it lets the local guys who have first dibs or first access to these promoters and to these events, it lets them get smarter and better. I think there is something to be said for the circle that you're in. If that circle is competitive, then it raises your level by default. So I think competition is a good thing. It just makes you better. And, wouldn't it be great if you were, say, the weakest team in North Carolina and you went to another state and you were the strongest team, or you beat the strongest team there? That's what competition does. And that's why you see places where they have a lot of competitors, they have a lot of mixed martial arts events. That's why they're so tough. Some of their weak guys can go into states where you might have talented competitors, but the competition overall is somewhat weak, and they just plow right through them. Did you watch the UFC this past weekend? Did you see Derek Brunson run through Machida? Yeah, I did. Let me know what you think. Is it over for Machida? And do you think Rockhold and Brunson make sense? And do you think that Derek Brunson is overrated? Let me know what you think. I'm going to do an audio later on this week, a breakdown as far as that fight goes, and I'm going to give you my overall impression about the fight itself, the event in Brazil, and what I feel like where Derek Brunson's place is in the UFC. On that same card, we also saw my main man Damian Maia lose to Colby Covington. And we saw Covington try to take on the persona of a pro wrestler, bad guy, and the fans reacted in kind by throwing debris and material, food, drink, bottles, or whatever at him. I'm not even focused on Colby. All I can do is just focus on Damian Maia coming off 2 losses. And a lot of times when you see a lot of guys who compete, you'll see their Facebook post after they lose, and they say, I didn't lose, I learned. Or, they'll say something like, you never really lose, you learn. You either win or you learn. And I think we have to get away from that mentality a little bit, because I think what's important is that when you attempt, when you compete, when you try, when you participate, you experience. I think that's more important. And the reason I go with that is because Thai fighters, have hundreds of fights. Especially if they live in Thailand for any significant amount of time and they train in Thailand, they tend to get more fights because they just put them on more as part of their culture, whereas here in the United States, unless you live in an area where, again, like California, where they have a lot of events, you pretty much have to search them out. We have some talented guys here in North Carolina. They just don't have the events. They don't have the competition. Having the experience from all these fights is more important than whether you win them or lose them. It's the way in which you compete, the veracity and the passion and the dedication to the training. That's what you take away from it. That's the experience that you take away from it, and that's the experience that you give to others, and that's how you impact your environment, and you help create if you don't become the champion, you help create the next champion in your area, or a world champion for that matter. So it's kind of like, you create a ripple in the water, and that ripple spreads out. That's the effect that you have, the butterfly effect. Your actions do impact the actions and the behaviors of the people who are in that particular combat format that you're participating in. It does affect everybody, from the coaches to the newest trainees. If you go out and you win and you do it in a way that the current coaches don't understand, they're going to go and research. They're going to study you. They're going to look you up. They're going to learn from you. The more quality experiences you have, the more quality of a life you have. In this particular case, quality combat sport life that you have. So no more thinking in terms of winning and losing, but getting out there and participating fully for the experience. Trying to figure out what is it that you need to draw from in this experience right now, to take back with you, to make things better, to get yourself better, to impact the next person. There's a apprehension of going into a situation with wins and losses in the back of your mind, and you tend not to give that 100% dedication to your performance. And that doesn't mean you have to come out and go balls to the wall and put on a Derek Brunson performance, but you can look at that fight and say, oh, he learned the last time that he fought a veteran, when he fought Anderson Silva. The last time he fought a veteran, he hung back. He didn't try as hard. At least that's what some of the arguments were. And that's why Anderson ended up getting the decision over him. But this time, he stayed patient, and he tried to stay in the face of Machida. And that's why we saw Machida bouncing around a little bit more in this fight. Brunson did a good job of staying right there with him. And then he clipped him. And when he clipped him, he stayed on him. That's what one learning experience does. It lets you build on to the next and lets you perform better. From now on, let's not have that conversation anymore about you're either winning or you're learning. You're always learning, all right? And what you really need to do is learn to improve and look back. Even when you do win, learn to look back and see what you could exploit or expose and improve that aspect of the game as well. That does it for me. So just to give you a quick rundown on what I got coming up this week, I'm going to do an audio about Elite Warrior Challenge that will showcase Paris Aries Artis and Isaiah Monroe. And if you are part of my training resource, we're going to go over a catch drill basics. I'll probably do a video for that. Probably going to do a highlight video for Isaiah and Paris. Going to do a training video this week focusing on the catch mitt and how to add to it. So we're going to work the basic catch mitt and keep that format simple. We're going to just do it in a way that we teach it. And then later on the week, we're going to do a format that shows you how to add to it and expand on it. Also, again, I'm going to do a Fight Lab predictions audio this week in terms of who wins and who loses. So let's not forget that the top of that card is Keith Rockstar Richardson versus Solon Staley, and in the North Carolina bracket is Dewan Owens taking on Ryan Jett. And also, I will be doing something this week prior to the UFC regarding George St. Pierre and Michael Bisping about their upcoming event November 4th. That's what's on my mind. Let me know what's on yours. Hit me up again on my timeline, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all Seth Stevenson. Just hit me up. Let me know what you got going on. I'm interested in knowing, and I look forward to hearing from you. I'm Coach Seth, and you've had words with the Mad Coach.